we are learning while and do while loop, and what is the difference between the while loop and the for loop. Okay, so in earlier section we have explored the for loop. In a for loop we have the three statement we pass. Okay, here in a while loop we pass only the condition here. We pass only the condition here. Okay, so while loop loops through a block of code as long as specific condition is true. Okay, so code block to be executed. Now here, if I go here and run this code, you see that, see, first it check the condition, but in a for loop there are some if I use the for loop, so in the for loop we have one first statement. First it will say I is equal to 0, and again here I plus plus. Okay, so it will do the incrementer at this stage, which is in for loop. But in a while loop what we do, we just put the condition here, we just put the condition here and we perform the operation. After that, then where we increment in a code block. Okay, we increment in a code block, keep in mind that. Okay, we increment in a code block. So where we increment in a code block, and here in a while loop we put you the condition. Okay, we give the condition and loop execute. Once the condition will get a break, then it will jump out of this while loop. Okay, it will jump out of this while loop, it will directly jump to the next condition. Okay, so keep in mind that while loop, so in while loop, so while loop which contain only the condition. While loop there is only one statement which is the condition, and after that we increment it in body. Okay, so if you can see here, we'll get the output here. So initially I is less than 0 is less than 10, then it execute and it will display the number and it increment. Okay, this is called while loop. This is called while loop. In a while loop we give the increment the value in a block of code, and we give only one condition. Okay, interviewer may ask you what is the difference between a for loop and a while loop. So you just need to tell them that there is a condition, there's a, in a while loop we just declare the condition and increment it in a block of code. But in a for loop there are three statements. One, first is initialization, second is condition, and third is increment. Okay, so like this way you need to distinguish between a for loop and while loop. Okay, so after that, moving bit ahead in a for loop, if you forgot to do this plus plus, if you forgot here, then uh, your browser will get a crash. Okay, if you forgot to give the means if you forgot to give the condition, if you forgot to give the condition, then it will remain in a, go into the loop and your browser will get crash, means your browser will uh, stop, or it unexpectedly stop. In while working in a code, if you write something like that while loop and without any condition and you just put the increment, then definitely your browser will get crash. Okay, so keep in mind that condition is very important. After that there is another loop which is called as do while loop. Do while loop. So again, point come that what is the difference between the while loop and the do while loop. So the do while loop, in a do while loop, which is execute once. Okay, and then check the condition. What I'm saying, in a do while loop, see, so please understand the difference. In a do while loop, see here, in do while loop means execute once. Okay, and then check condition. If the condition is true, then again it will keep executing. Okay, and like this, if condition fail, then it go out of the while loop. Okay, so this is the do while loop. Means if, difference between a while and do while loop is, in a while loop it will check the condition first. In a do while loop the condition will be checked after the code block. Okay, after the code block, here you can see that after the code block we will check the condition and see what happened. At least once it will definitely execute, at least the once it will definitely execute. See, if I say here, if I run this, okay, if I run this and I will say here I is greater than 1, so here condition will fail because I is 0, I is 0, and if I come here I is greater than 0, then condition will get fail and it will go out. But at once it will execute the number is 0. At once it will execute the number. But same case in a while loop, if I go in a while loop and I'll change the condition here, nothing will be displayed. Okay, nothing will be displayed. But in a do while loop, as I'm saying, do while loop, it will execute once and then check the condition. This is the difference between while loop and the do while loop. This is the difference between the while loop and do while loop. So do while loop, it executes once and after that check the condition. So here and here we put the increment. Here in the code block we put the increment. Okay, increment in a code block. So this is the difference between the while loop and in some cases, if you think that you want to execute the loop once, okay, and then check the condition, then you go with the do while, and if otherwise you will go with the uh, while loop only. And you have the initialization, you want to initialize, then increment, and then check condition, then for loop is there. Okay, so this is the difference between the do and while loop. So I hope you understand the do while loop.